Good morning, everyone. Welcome in. We are so excited to have you all joining us. We see that participant number slowly rising, so we know that you all are getting settled in this space. So we are going to officially get started to be mindful of your time, but then also allow ample time for information to be shared and for you to ask any and all questions that you may have as well. So hello again, everyone. My name is Nayada Schuler, and I serve as the chair of the SACAC Webinars Committee. I also have the honors of serving as the host for today's webinar and will be assisting with technical support as well as monitoring the chat and Q&A throughout today's session. So on behalf of SACAC and the Webinars Committee, we would like to welcome you to today's session titled Things to Know Before You Go, a pre-conference webinar. As a reminder, this year's conference theme is Embrace the Moment, Inspire, Inform, Impact. And so, as we prepare to gather together here in Atlanta, Georgia, it is our hope that the information and tips shared in this webinar will further assist you with preparing to make the most of your conference experience. So, before we get started, we do have a few housekeeping notes before we begin. Number one, this is a webinar format. So, audience mics are muted. We do encourage you to use the Q&A box if you have any questions for the presenters, and if time allows, we will have the chance to answer them at the end. Additionally, this webinar is also being recorded and will later be shared with SACAC members on your portal, but then also through our YouTube channel. Thank you again for joining us for today's session. And now I will pass things over to our session presenters, Anita, SACAC's Annual Conference Planning Chair, and Cory Bailey, Annual Conference Chair-elect.
Morning, everybody. We're so excited that you could join us or that you're watching this recording. We are very, very grateful for the time that the webinar committee has set ahead of time for us. I think this was like months in the working, so we are very grateful to get on everybody's schedule today. So there's a lot to unpack, but I'll just let Cory Bailey, Dr. Cory Bailey, introduce himself, and then we'll get started.
Good morning, everyone. Yes, I am Cory Bailey. Doctor is not necessary. Cory Bailey from Mississippi State University. I work in the College of Ag and Life Sciences here and have been a part of SACAC. This will actually be my 10th SACAC conference. And so it's interesting now to see full circle my first experience being annual conference and now leaning into this role of chair-elect and getting things started. So excited to be with you today.
And we are so happy and lucky to have Cory join the annual conference team. Cory has such an incredible lens and definitely is going to be someone that you all enjoy getting to know more over these next few years. And I am just so grateful for him having the most patience and grace with me as he has seen me as a hot mess, honey, because it's been a lot of fun and an adventure trying to get everybody to Atlanta. So my name is Anita, Director of College Counseling at the Lovett School in Atlanta. So welcome to the home city at this point. We are very, very excited. There's a lot going on in the city as well, and we'll talk a little bit about that. But this is a Know Before You Go special. So we're going to try to capture everything, but absolutely throw your questions into the Q&A, and we have some that were submitted ahead of time that we want to address as well. So here we go. So Cory and I absolutely make up the two of the four on this wonderful conference team, but Diana McAfee, who a lot of you have seen and embraced and had conversation with or sent your questions to. Sometimes you sent your questions to her thinking they were for me, and sometimes you sent your questions to me thinking they were for her. Diana is SACAC Queen. She is our one and only SACAC employee. And so she absolutely is the face and the name that many of you are probably most familiar with. And that goes even beyond conference, but she serves as our registration chair. So she oversees all parts of registration start to finish and check in when we all get there on site at the Marriott Marquis. And then Arlene Outerbridge is our current SACAC president-elect. And so Arlene has done a great job of navigating this wonderful conference content and programming and was the vision behind our theme for this year. And, you know, honestly, she's going to do a much better job explaining how we landed where we landed and giving you guys a full circle when we get to conference together during that conference kickoff. But one thing that I think about is embrace the moment can mean a lot of different things to a lot of different people, right? And we hope that you will approach this conference finding meaning and purpose for yourself as we are navigating inspire, inform, and impact as kind of that sub theme as we embrace the moment together. I think SACAC conference for me is always such a beautiful reunion, but embracing the moment, and that's what embracing the moment will mean for me. I'm embracing seeing my people, connecting with my folks, continuing to add people to my circle. But embrace the moment could mean some different things to you. And we hope that, again, you will walk away with a meaningful experience for yourself. Cory, anything you'd like to say about what embrace the moment and inspire, inform, impact means to you?
For me, I think as Arlene described this particular conference and as I reflected in the Southern Scope blog, we are in some what we would consider trying times. There's just definitely an unrest necessarily with where education is right now and with some of the political environment and all types of environmental factors that we cannot control. But one of the things that Arlene said that has still resonated with me is that there are things that we can control, and one of that being our attitude and the way that we choose to embrace the moment and the way that we choose to impact our surroundings, our community. And she is hopeful that this conference experience from start to finish will truly allow us to be informed and inspired to go into our own communities and embrace what we can. And to me, I'm excited about seeing how that plays out, because judging by the different conference sessions that were approved and slated for our time together, there's some great sessions just from looking at the descriptions and the titles. Wonderful presenters who are also giving their time to put those on. And so I'm truly inspired by just the turnout with those session proposals. And I'm really looking forward to what we're going to see and experience together.
Conference chair elect. All right, you better put it into words. I love it. I love it. So yes, join us in indulging in the theme. And if you are a social media person, please know that we didn't officially name a hashtag, but hashtag SACAC25 is wonderful. It's straightforward. Our communications team has shared with us, keep it simple. So hashtag SACAC25. We'll put that in our next email that you all get, as you all got blasted with an email this morning from us. So hopefully that was helpful as well as we thought about this webinar. All right, let's keep moving. All right, so know before you go. So when we are thinking about a couple of things, we pulled out the FAQs that typically pop up. So attire. One of the questions that we get quite often is, what are people wearing? What is the expectation? I think in this realm, we just want y'all to be comfortable and show up however you need to, but business casual, dressy casual, I think you'll see a range of polos to sundresses because it's spring and everything in between. So feel free to show up however your institution deems appropriate. But business casual, dressy casual is kind of where we've landed over the last few years. I would prepare for a good amount of walking. If you have any accessibility considerations or concerns, but have not shared that with us, please reach out as soon as possible. We are going to be, the Marriott Marquis is pretty big, and there are 3 levels that we'll be navigating throughout the conference. There will be elevators and escalators and all of that, but if we need to give some more consideration to some accessibility concerns, please let us know. In terms of housing, oh, and also we would always say for a conference, right, everything's going to be cooler inside than you expect, so have some layers. Housing, our host hotel is at the Atlanta Marriott Marquis. If you've ever been at that space, it is wide open and large. We did sell out our room block many times. There has been some movement. So for folks who are like trying to get in last minute, you can absolutely call the Marriott Marquis and see. If you might have a little trouble with the room block rate, all because that has closed, but it's worth asking if there's anyone who was trying to get into the host hotel and you didn't have a chance to. The Hotel Indigo is our overflow hotel. That link is being sent out, has been sent out for with registration before we close. But if you need the link to either of these to see if that reservation if they have space, please let us know. Parking. Okay, this is the whammy, right? Because it's Atlanta. And Atlanta loves a good price on parking and alcohol. So with parking, valet only at the Marriott Marquis. So for those of you who are staying on site, just know that the valet is the only option you have, and the SACAC rate is $48 a day. There are, as we shared in our email that we shared with everybody this morning, there are options off-site. There's plenty of parking in downtown, but there's a couple of things to keep in mind. As a Atlanta local for the last 11 years, we would say head on a swivel. If you choose not to park at the host hotel, we know affordable, you might need a more affordable option, and that's totally fine. Please know that there are differences between parking in parking lots and parking in parking garages. I would also keep in mind that, as I shared in the email, parking can get a little interesting pre-conference because Atlanta is a host city for the NCAA Sweet 16, and parking downtown means that you're going to see people with flags all over the place saying park here, $20, $40, $70. Just be mindful and aware when you are choosing to park elsewhere. We cannot ensure security, and like other major cities, break-ins are a thing. So do not leave any valuables behind. And keep in mind, to just be aware of where you're parking. I don't know that I can say anything else about that, but Cory, if you have other thoughts, feel free to chime in. Weather. So spring has sprung and it is beautiful out here in Atlanta, but I certainly would say have some layers because, again, inside air condition will be flowing so that we can accommodate the more than 1,000 of you who are planning to attend. And then, of course, with airport travel and transportation, Atlanta Airport is busy for anybody who's not had the opportunity to navigate that beautiful big airport. But just keep in mind, give yourself plenty of time and be patient on the front and back end. I would also say a ride to and from the airport without traffic is about 15 minutes. It's really not that far. But again, I just shared with you, there are some events happening that are headed to the same area of the city. So I would give yourself plenty of time to navigate traffic. As you saw in the email that landed in your inbox, MARTA and rideshare are two of the best recommendations for how to get from the airport to the hotel. There is a MARTA station that's not too far. I mean, like right there at the hotel. So it's pretty convenient, even if you have a bag. But if you have multiple bags, I would certainly say consider rideshare. Okay. Conference vibe. I think if you're a first timer, one thing to expect is that people are fairly social at SACAC. And someone like myself, I've been a member and attending conferences since 2008. And so it really is a reunion for some folks. And then if that is not the vibe for you, especially as a first timer, if you feel like you're the only one from your office coming and you really don't know another soul, don't worry. If you have signed up to have a conference host, that is one of the most approachable ways to start meeting people pretty quickly. And we're going to hopefully engage you pretty quickly at the beginning of conference so that you have someone. But anyone on the SACAC board of directors would be happy to help you navigate and make a connection with you. Cory and I would love to, but when you see us, we might be walking zombies. So please don't judge us for that, but just know that we are here to help you make connections as well. But as a first time attendee, we also have a first timer session where there will be some intentional, I guess, icebreakers, if you will, to help you connect with someone else who has not attended a SACAC conference. Now, I also know that first timer I don't want to make the assumption that that means you're a first timer to this industry. You could have been in this industry for 20 years and never been a SACAC conference attendee. So I don't want to make any assumptions about who our first timers are. But if you're looking for a connection while you're at SACAC, these are some of the immediate ways to do that. The Marriott Marquis is pretty big, but where there are things like a full service Starbucks, which amazing, or bars or restaurants, they're all kind of on the same level. So you're not going to get lost in that way. There is a spa at this particular hotel if you haven't navigated the website for the Marquis. So there's a lot that you can get into, but they're pretty much on the same two levels. So again, as much as big as the hotel is, it's mostly rooms that take up the space in this particular property. Lots of space to hang out and network, but we will be making the exhibitor hub a space where you can have meetings and chat with folks. We'll be putting a lot of like the snack breaks, the coffee breaks, those will be in that space. One, because you really should go and engage with our exhibitors, and we'll talk a little bit about that in a second. But two, because that's a space where we want to create some networking opportunities, and naturally have places for people to work, because you might need to, scoot out of a session and do an email or take a phone call, and we want to create a space to do that. Lots to do even beyond the host hotel. So as I mentioned to you, we're in downtown. We're kind of in the heart of downtown where there's plenty of restaurants. I don't know that I would say shopping, but sure, shopping. There's also lots to do in that area, lots of tourist sites. So some of it's walking distance, some of it is a quick Uber, and some of it is a MARTA ride. So lots to do, and we'll be sharing in our next email things you could do in Atlanta. So if you are interested, we'll be sending that a little bit later this week as you all are making your way towards the conference. Our schedule and session spaces, Cory's going to talk about that in just a second. We're going to literally go over the schedule with you in terms of what to expect. Meals and food at the conference. So nobody ever said that your registration would pay for all your meals. Your registration would be a lot more expensive if that was the case. But we do want to make sure that you have a little bit in your tummy as we go throughout. So one of the newest additions that we made last year in Raleigh was we added a snack break on that first day, and that was well received. For anybody who's attended SACAC before, we really did not feed you on that first day. It was a marathon. We just threw you in there into the wild and said, come on through. So we will have a snack break between the first and second sessions on Sunday when we officially kick off the conference. The president's reception, you can expect, hors d'oeuvres and cash bars. Your registration does come with 2 complimentary drink tickets that you can choose to use at the president's reception or the social. But there will be a cash bar and some hors d'oeuvres that are kind of Butler Pass style. So wouldn't worry about that. There will be a band at the president's reception, so we hope you'll join us and chat with everybody. We know that there are lots of things you can get into. Other receptions, we know. We're gonna have to calm down on that in the future, y'all. I'm just saying. I'm saying this for Cory so he doesn't have to live with this, but we're gonna have to calm down on that a little bit. With that being said, or at least with it overlapping with the schedule for the conference. But that being said, we hope you'll join us and have a good time at the president's reception. We'll have a coffee break, membership luncheon, dessert break, and conference social all on Monday. So on Monday, we do give you a little bit more food to survive. Breakfast is on your own on Monday, though. And then the mobile app. So we had a lot of questions about that. As you may have noticed from the email we shared this morning, that will become available by Friday. The mobile app is the space where you get the most up-to-date information. We will not give you a physical piece of paper or pieces of paper or booklet to highlight all of the sessions. There will be a quick one-pager that has everything, but for all of the information, it will be housed in the mobile app. And we don't want to release the mobile app before we've had time to really secure everything. There's still some moving pieces. Cory and I have a couple of meetings with the hotel a little bit later on this week. And so until those things can happen, to confirm a few things, we'll hold off on providing the mobile app for you. But we will email you the moment that it is live and ready for you. So we are still working on that, getting things up to date. All right, Cory, you're up.
All right. So, and to that point, Anita, I just I've been skimming some of the feedback in the chat. And so speaking of that, if you do want to have a tangible schedule, there is, if you go to the SACAC's website, there's actually, when you click on the schedule at a glance, there's actually a hyperlink towards the bottom of that schedule at a glance that says you can have a sneak peek at the schedule. If you click on that document, it's an Excel sheet with all of the sessions that have been approved. Thank you for that. And so you can kind of start pre-planning a little bit there. But just to kind of kickstart things, first and foremost, if you are a first timer to SACAC, just know that we jam pack a lot over 2 days. And so the pre-conference experience has been a way that we can even more maximize time, because we realize that some people will come in on either Friday night or Saturday morning at some point. And so if you want to get a little bit more out of your experience, these are a couple of ways to do that. So the outreach project, that's actually taking place as part of our pre-conference experience on that Saturday. And it's going to be from 8 to 12:30 in rooms 703 and 704. And again, that's also going to be in your conference app as well. So if you're planning to participate in the outreach project, that's the time frame, is that 8 to 12:30 time frame. Then we have a list of college tours also taking place on Saturday. And first and foremost, if you are a representative from these colleges or universities, huge shout out to you and thank you for offering this service. Any place that we like to go for our conference experience, we want to expose and raise awareness around the universities or colleges that are nearby. And so we're always looking for that partnership. So thank you to the colleges that are going to be participating. Some of those, from 8:30 is when the Mercer, Georgia College, and Georgia State tours will begin. Then at 9:30 and again at 1:30, we have Emory University that's participating. At 11 o'clock, we have the Wesleyan College, and then at 11:30 is Agnes Scott. And again, all of those are in your schedule as well. But those are the colleges taking place, or college tours that are taking place on Saturday. We, for the last couple of years, have been offering post-conference sessions. And to be fair, I'll just be the first to admit, from my own experience, a few years ago, well, actually, it's been a while ago now, we used to offer a whole day's worth of sessions after the social on the last night. And it really just wasn't something that I was in the best shape to join. And so, as you can imagine, some of those post-conference sessions were a little bit sketchy in numbers. And so we are moving things back a little bit. And so it's been a few years since we offered some pre-conference sessions, but we're bringing those back, and our numbers are looking great for pre-conference sessions. So hopefully this is something we're going to stick around for a while. But those two sessions, we have an understanding athletic recruitment in the 21st century, and then we also have a session called Integrating a High School Financial Aid Curriculum for Students and Parents. And so really excited about the content that's going to be provided during that time, Tom. But those pre-conference sessions will take place between 1 and 4 o'clock on that Saturday. And then if you're a part of the board of directors, we will also have our meeting on that Saturday afternoon as well. And I would be remiss if I didn't say it. We will have registration that opens on Saturday. Registration will be open from 5:15 to 6:45 there in the atrium foyer of the hotel. But the part that I would be remiss on is, in order for us to be prepared for registration, we have a SACAC pack and party. And so if you've signed up on the volunteer list for the pack and potty, that's when that's going to take place, and it's going to be from 9:30 to 11:30. And without your help and attention to that, we may not be ready to open registration. So make sure, if you've signed up for that you are there for the party, because all badges and things will be a slinging. So Diana will make sure that you know exactly what's required during that time. Okay, so moving things to Sunday. Sunday is a fun day. So it's a full day. So again, if this is your first time attending SACAC, just some words of wisdom: take it in strides. For me, I have learned because of SACAC that I think that I'm an extrovert, but I've learned through SACAC I'm more of an introverted extrovert. I need my time. And so it's okay if you need to find a bench or go stand outside for a little bit in between. You just navigate this however you need to. But as Anita said earlier, we are a social bunch, and the more that you volunteer, the more that you get involved in SACAC, the more people that you get to meet along the way. And so it really is just one big giant reunion, and you just get to learn about professional development as a bonus. And so, but on that Sunday, if you need to get your mind right, get your heart right, all the things, the first thing in the morning, we have a couple of different fun activities, wellness activities, if you will. So we'll actually have a fun and run walk off site. If you're wanting to participate in that, we'll meet in the lobby, and there will be signage to make sure that you're in the right place, but that will take place first thing in the morning. And then yoga will actually be offered in Marquee D as well. And again, those times are also on the website as well as in the app once you get that. Our exhibit area hub will open up that morning at 10:30 and be available until 6 o'clock in the atrium A. And so please, please, please go by and visit them. We're going to officially show who our exhibitors are here in a little bit, but we have exactly 49 exhibitors this year. And so we've got a room full of great resources, content, different vendors that you'll make sure you want to stop by and see. And so we really appreciate all of the exhibitors who have stepped up and want to participate in SACAC, and hopefully we continue to grow that space. But please, please make sure you stop by that exhibitor hub while you're here. The local public high school counselors meet and greet will also be taking place between 11 and 11:30 on Sunday. So that's a great time to kind of connect with your people there. If you have participated in SACAC Leads over the last year, we will actually have a time for you to meet as well, starting at 8:30 that morning. It's from the last couple of years that I've actually been invited to participate in that and speak. It's a good debrief. It's a good time to meet with some of the leadership within SACAC. And so I can't say enough great things about that, but it's really a good wrap up to everything that you've learned about throughout your time. If you are a first timer, please go to the meet and greet session. I'm going to tell you what, if you want to get your mind right and get excited about the things to come with the conference, the meet and greet session is full of energy. It's full of networking. It's full of just good vibes. And so definitely make sure that you go and be a part of that. And it's brief. It's from 11:30 to 12. But definitely, if you're a first timer, we don't want you to miss that opportunity, because we've already hit on the theme is embrace the moment. There's no better way to embrace the moment and get ready to go than to start off with that meet and greet session. And then if you've went to the first timer session, you've started feeling the high energy and the excitement of the conference that is on the horizon, you do not want to miss this conference kickoff. I actually made a mistake a while ago. I said that this was my 10th, but this is actually going to be my 12th because I did the math. And I knew the math wasn't mathing, but this is actually my 12th. And out of all of the conference kickoffs that I've been a part of, they're always good. There's always a lot of information. And again, you're coming together. But y'all, we have not mentioned that this is shaping up to be our largest conference to date. And so I can just tell you the energy in the room, even from the way that we're having to set it up this year to accommodate everyone, it's going to be a little bit different than some of us veterans are used to. But because of that, that room is going to be jam-packed with energy. And so please, please, please get there early, get your seat. This is going to be a kickoff like no other. You'll definitely hear from your presidential team with some remarks there. But for the first time in a long time, we have a kickoff speaker this time. And we have, if you've followed along, or maybe I inspire you to go and Google him, but we have Mr. Tony Hillary, who's going to be joining us. He is the CEO from Harlem Grown. And so he actually has family and has roots in Atlanta. So it worked out perfectly for us to get him this year. And so he's going to be kind of talking about his story and what he does there in the Harlem community for the children and the students there in that area, with his community gardens that are the catalyst to his platform and his work that he does there, but has a remarkable story, and I cannot wait for you to hear that. And so then we will go from the conference kickoff right into Block A. And as I said, just from hearing from Arlene as she reviewed the sessions that were submitted this time, we had a lot of sessions, and I do not envy her and her team because they had to do some work to coil through that to make sure that we had kind of the limit on sessions at each block. But we're offering 15 sessions in each of our blocks. And so there's a lot of content, and just about any direction that you would want in terms of what kind of role that you play within your admissions office or your school. Those sessions have a lot of information for different audiences and demographics. So again, you can find that schedule online in the session descriptions if you want to go ahead and get a jump start on that. But feel free to divide and conquer. If you're coming with a team, make sure that everybody maybe divides and conquers, and you come back together and talk through different sessions. But there's a lot of really good content going on in those sessions. Then we'll have a little snack break. You'll have 15 more sessions to choose from between during session block B. And then we will go into our state meetings. And for those of you who may be unaware, the state meetings, so SACAC is comprised of about 9 different states that are part of our affiliate. And these are navigated a couple of different ways. And you're welcome to figure out which way works best for you. If you primarily reside in a state and that's where you do the majority of your work, feel free to go to that particular state's meeting. But if you are, say, an admissions counselor and you have a territory in some of the other states and you spend the majority of your time there versus your own home state, you're welcome to go to that state as well. If you want to bounce around, that's okay too, but usually that's how people navigate which state meeting they want to attend, is by either choosing the one they predominantly reside in or work in. And so feel free to attend those. Very good information and updates that come out of those state meetings. And so the more people that are attending and participating, the better. And some things are never going to change just because of capacity. Florida and Georgia, just get there early, find your seat, find your spot on the wall. Those are just 2 jam-packed sessions. So if you're part of those states, just get there early. Then we have our special interest group meetings, and there are about 15 of those as well. And so that's one that you may want to take a look at and see which one you identify the most with, or which one you're most curious about or more interested in. This is a great way to kind of step outside of your role in the admissions world, but really kind of engage in conversations with people that share some of your common interests or themes or just hobbies or activities. And so definitely look at some of those that are going to be offered and potentially participate in those. Again, you don't have to stay in there for those the whole time. You can, if there's a couple that you're interested in, feel free to bounce around. I've heard of people doing that before. So that's perfectly fine. And then finally, we'll wrap up Sunday with the president's reception. There's some nice surprises that are going to happen during that president's reception. So please plan to attend that. It's always a great, just kind of casual time together, and it's kind of informal. So it's come and go, but we'll have some food there. And so definitely come and use that as a time to debrief from the day, because again, it's been a full day by that point. So please plan to come and participate during the president's reception. Did I leave anything out, Anita?
No, I just wanted to make a clarifying statement about the local public high school counselors meet and greet. You had to have already been registered to attend that. And thank you to UGA who is sponsoring that. And they're kind of coordinating with the folks that are supposed to be attending. So just know that between that and like the outreach project, you should have already registered or been involved in those conversations. So those are not necessarily free for all. So just wanted to quickly share that. But everything else, with the exception of SACAC leads, is. This is the one year we're trying out something. We're trying out a few things this year. I think we were trying to give Cory some on-ramp for next year, depending on if he wants to make some different choices for our anniversary conference next year. But the president's reception is starting at 6:15 this year, and that is intentional. You see it starting around the same time as the SIG meetings. And some of that was to address some feedback that we've gotten in the past for folks who aren't attending SIG meetings. What am I to do? I'm supposed to just, kind of wait until the reception starts. And so we'll have 2 rotations of the reception is basically what you're going to see. You're going to see folks coming in at 6:15 for the reception and folks coming in at about 6:45 once those SIG meetings end. So just know that we planned that intentionally. That wasn't an oversight. It's certainly something that we're trying out this year. And I know y'all will let us, I don't even have to invite the feedback. We know y'all will tell us if it's something that did not work. But thanks, Cory. Okay, let me move to Monday. I think this is me, right? This is me. Is this you? This is me. Okay. We'll be offering yoga again. And one note that I wanted to share about yoga is if you are registered, you'll be getting a confirmation email from me at some point today. We're making our way through sharing confirmation emails to anything that's specific or different, especially if it's a pre-conference session. So just know that you'll be getting a separate reminder confirmation email. You should have gotten one from the beginning, but and it should be listed on your registration, but we'll be sharing some details about that. I think the hard reality to something like yoga is every year the property is different in terms of what they can provide to us. Like, will there be yoga mats for me, or do I need to bring my own? I would plan to pack your own for this particular one. We did not have any extras, and the hotel wasn't even in a position to rent any out to us. I think our yoga instructor would tell you that she can accommodate anything. So even if you're like, I am not going to have room for that in my suitcase, please still come. And when you get the email, I'll let you know who that yoga instructor is. She's someone that teaches at Love It. She has her own studio and all of that, but she also teaches here at Love It. So that's the connection for that instructor. But session block C, and then a coffee break in between. Session block D, I've already shared with you all. Breakfast is on your own Monday, so that's why you don't see it listed here. Conference lunch and membership meeting is happening around 12:15, I believe. And so keep in mind that is where we do our business. So we have lunch and there's a little bit of social aspect to it, but that is the SACAC business meeting where we share updates and the slate and all of that good stuff. So we hope that you'll be in attendance for that. The surprise to the conference luncheon is that we'll have conference chicken again. It's great, right? It's predictable, conference chicken, because there are lots of allergies and food restrictions and all of that. If you feel like you maybe didn't capture that on your registration in terms of your dietary restriction, please let us know. We will obviously have a special meal option for anyone who is vegan, vegetarian, kosher. I mean, truly, any concerns there, please make sure that we know. If it's not on your registration, please share with myself or Diana as soon as you possibly can, so we can get that to the hotel. Session block E, of course, we have 3 session blocks on Monday. So to Cory's point about Sunday being a full day, so it's Monday. And then we'll have a dessert break separate of lunch. For anyone who is planning to set up for the networking fair, you're an institution that has signed up to have a table there, please know that we're going to try our best to have the dessert break set up in the atrium where the exhibitors are in the hub, but also at the college fair a little early so that you can go and set up and enjoy your dessert before folks start coming in and having conversation with you. So we're trying to do both of those things. And then the social at the World of Coca-Cola, like we are very excited about that. It's giving Atlanta. We will have shuttles that leave the hotel. And I know that this was actually something I wanted to bring up for those college tours. Many of you might be leaving from the Marriott Marquis, and there will be some specific instructions about where the bus will be. The bus pickup and drop off will be behind the hotel. And so if you're staying at the Atlanta Marriott Marquis, you'll be going down to the international level. Again, we'll share more instructions about how to do that, but you can leave from the hotel just at the back of the hotel, not at the front entrance. But we'll have some shuttles for folks. Obviously, we know that people like to go out and grab dinner before coming to the social, or go to the social and then grab dinner. As Cory mentioned about the president's reception, please come and go as you will. We'll have plenty of space. Lots of fun dancing the night away, but there's exhibits that you can explore. So if you are a museum type of person, this will speak to you. If you like to, drop a little something, twerk a little something, that's for you too. So we got a little bit in between for everybody. If you need to find a quiet corner, there's an outside patio that will be just for our group. So a little bit for everybody at the World of Coca-Cola. We're really excited. The one thing I will share with folks, because I keep getting this question, is, do we have the tasting room? Do we have the tasting room? Do we have the tasting room? No, because the tasting room is a little bit of a hot mess, but you will have tasting opportunities in one of the exhibits. So, and then of course we'll have Coca-Cola products on site, but no, you will not be able to try a different continent's Coca-Cola, not at this particular event, but the rest of the space for this beautiful location is ours. So looking forward to that. Did I miss anything about Monday, Cory? Okay. All right, let's keep going here. And then, of course, Tuesday, so to Cory's comment earlier, we used to do a lot of post-conference sessions and things like that, and attendance just was impacted. So we moved everything, trying a new thing to do some pre-conference. So all you'll see happening post-conference on Tuesday are college tours and SACAC Board of Directors meeting, which obviously doesn't apply to everybody. So we have trimmed the schedule on Tuesday a little bit. Intentionally.
All right, so we would not be able to put on the program that we are doing without our sponsors. And so this year's premier sponsor is StriveScan. So we want to give a public shout out to StriveScan for investing in SACAC and providing this type of partnership. We also have a list of other sponsors that are also going to be joining us this time. If we can skip on to the next slide. Perfect. Yeah. Bring it back, bring it back. Perfect. Great. Yeah, so this is the list of all of our sponsors. And again, if you're not on this list and you want to sponsor future SACAC conference events, you can actually view that information on our website at any time. That form really the form and the chart is still there if you want to see kind of what the price ranges are if you want to participate in the future. But we are super thankful. I'm afraid that we would not be able, as Anita said earlier, we actually don't charge the registration fee per person what it actually costs for each person to attend. And we try to create a very impactful but a fun experience for everyone. And without these sponsors, it would not be possible for us to have the same type of experience. So thank you, thank you, thank you to everyone that's going to be joining us, as well as our exhibitors. So that's actually on the next screen. As I said earlier, we have 49 different exhibitors that will be in attendance this year. And if again, we would love to see this grow. And so if you know that you work with vendors that are not represented here, give them a little nudge, see if they want to participate in the future, if you think that their services would be good for our membership. But thank you to the exhibitors that will be with us this year, and please make sure that you go by and visit the exhibitor hub while you're in Atlanta.
Awesome. So we like to wrap it up with our top 5, and we know we've got questions that we need to address, but this is just a nice little bow onto our formal presentation. But we have a top 5 that we'd like to bring to you. And Cory, we could just go every other one because it's a lovely little top 5. But location, the Marriott Marquis, I think is for those of you who've been around long enough, Atlanta has been an interesting place to host the SACAC conference. We used to be out on Perimeter for a long time. And then when we brought it to downtown, we were at the Hilton, which I just heard was bought out from under Hilton property. So that's interesting. But now we're a little more central to kind of what's going on in downtown. And so I'm excited for everybody to experience the Marquee. But Atlanta is a different experience every time. So we're excited about this particular property. Plus, there's plenty to do.
All right. So again, we have 15 sessions happening in each of our block times. And so thank you to those of you who are going to be presenting and you contributed to the content that's going to be provided. Thank you for your collaboration among each other. There's a lot of co-presenters in each of the blocks. And so thank you for, in some ways you may be presenting with people that you are familiar with and you've presented topics together with before, but some of you may have crowdsourced and found other experts on different topics and you're collaborating for the first time. And so you also are learning something and throughout this experience. So definitely engage with that content and try to find something that speaks to you in each of those session times. As I said earlier, feel free to divide and conquer if you want to maximize your time there, if you're going with a couple of different people. But I will say, there have been times, even though there's 15 sessions happening at one time, that maybe I'm still not just finding something that speaks to me. You know what I'm going to do during that time? I'm going to the exhibitor hub, and that's whenever I'm going to browse that time as well. So there's a lot of content to be had, whether you're exploring the exhibitors or learning from the presenters.
And shout out to our sponsors who took on paying for everybody's projector. If you've been around long enough, you know that SACAC is an organization that hasn't always provided projectors. Real talk, y'all, they're just so expensive. Everything is just so expensive at this point. And so we really couldn't be able to allow you to just come and plop your laptop down if it hadn't been for our sponsors looking out for that opportunity. I will just a plug for Arlene. You guys have received emails at this point, lead presenters specifically, about what to expect. Please know that there won't be computers in those rooms. You need to bring your own computer and your own dongle or adapter so that you can make sure you can get connected. We will have floaters from Encore, our AV support, who will be floating around making sure that you have what you need. But just know, as Cory mentioned, 15 sessions going on at the same time, and they're not all in the same area. So just keep in mind, there will be somebody there, but be prepared with your own laptop dongle adapter for that. And there will be a microphone in each space at this point. If we do make a last minute change where you don't have a microphone in your room, it would likely be because of how it would impact the room next to you. So not having anything to do with not providing everybody with the same ability, but certainly about this, it would be more disruptive than anything else. But for the most part, you will find that there's a microphone in each room, a podium, and a head table. Okay. A sweet escape to the world of Coca-Cola. So in our email that went out, we shared in terms of attire. We get a lot of questions about, is this themed? Should I do a theme? What do I need to do as I'm thinking about packing? And we're just saying casual, sweet, and a pop of sparkle. There will not be a competition this year, though we were really happy about how y'all showed up and showed out last year, but there won't be a competition necessarily. We just hope that you come and have a little bit of fun with us. And then, the gift shop will not be open during the hours that we're there. It is an impressive gift shop, but it will not be open.
Okay, and then in terms of our volunteers, in the email that went out this morning, there was a nod to there's a last chance for signing up to volunteer. And so definitely check that out and see if there's a time or a spot that you would be interested in volunteering. For many of us that hold some type of leadership role within SACAC, especially if this is your first time to attend, please know that a lot of us got our start by volunteering. And it's a great way to get to know people within the association. It's also a great way to just kind of get your feet wet and see what all SACAC has to offer. But there's all different types of ways to get plugged in to SACAC, and a lot of that is through our volunteers. So again, sort of like how our we could not do what we do without our exhibitors and the sponsorship and the financial contribution to SACAC. We would not be able to do what we do without the hands and feet that are provided by our volunteers. As Anita said earlier, Diana, while she is amazing, she is our one paid employee, and she does as much as she physically possibly can as one person. We've not been able to figure out a way to clone her just yet, but she does as much as she can by herself. But she can only be at one place at one time, unfortunately. And so these volunteer roles are crucial for us creating a smooth experience for everyone and all of our attendees. And so certainly thank you for the work that you're going to do if you're planning to volunteer. But also, I feel like I'm talking to my students on this little statement here, but know what you signed up for if you did sign up. Because again, if we feel as though we've got a spot covered and all of a sudden it's not, then it's not creating the best experience for everyone. So if you sign up for something, make sure that you know where you're at and what you're doing. And of course, Diana's also planning to send out some reminders about that as well. But just know what you're signed up for and be prepared to be there.
And then lastly, y'all, I mean, let's just have a good time. I mean, I think that I have thought about all of the details and all of the nuances and all the things that I'll see and pick up that you guys won't. And I was talking with our point of contact at the hotel yesterday. I'm like, you know what? All else fails, let's just throw a cash bar out there and let everybody have a good time talking to one another. Because honestly, at the end of the day, it's about connecting with one another, making space for each other. As Cory mentioned, you know, how you are experiencing the events of the world may be different from person to person, but what we experience here at SACAC is a colleague, a friend, you know, a mentor, a sponsor, all of the things. I think for me, family even. So please know, well, definitely family. That is how I met my husband, and he did propose to me at a SACAC. So yeah. So family, literally. But I would certainly say this is the time where we just want to have you take a deep breath. Like there's lots to learn and lots to do, but we hope we create a fun environment for you to just exist. And get some food and libations if that speaks to you. So that being said, we're gonna roll in. And I would also argue, because I'm on my way out and Cory's on his way in, this is a labor of love. We won't always get everything right. We will obviously always be open to your feedback, to your questions. But it's a lot to manage when you have a full-time job. And this also is a full-time job when we start to get much closer to it. And just know it's a labor of love. We see you. If there is a way in which we can do more or better for you. I mean, I think about the great feedback I got a few years from a mother who was like, are there nursing spaces for us? And yes, the answer is yes. And we'll share that in the mobile app, but just know that we see you all and we want to make this a space for everyone. So if there are ways in which we can do that, we're open to that. Be kind, because we're human too. There are two things that I wanted to address that kind of came up. Arlene is in the chat. Hey, Arlene. Well, she's in the chat on our phone. She wanted to make sure that we mention the special session with Harris Conter, who is our SACAC financial advisor. We have pulled his session out of the session block times. There was an email that asked you to register, and he's really doing a personal finance conversation for some folks. That session was truly birthed out of our summer board meeting where we were talking about SACAC finances. And then we all started asking some personal questions, and it really just became a, man, this could be really great for all of us educators trying to make every dollar stretch, particularly in retirement or purchasing a home, interest rates, all of that good stuff. So he is actually making himself available to do just that. And I know that they can feel weird to come into a group of people to talk about something so completely private. But if you want good advice, that registration has closed, but we do have a few more spaces open. So if you're interested, feel free to email myself or Diana. That's probably the easiest. You can reply back to the email that you all just got in your inboxes this morning, and we can add you or let you know if we put you on a wait list. But there's some spots still available if that's something that speaks to you. And then I think the only other thing that I wanted to make a mention about, I may have already done it already. So, all right, I think we can open it up for Q&A, because if I forgot it, then there's likely a question about it.
Thank you again, Cory and Anita. I do want to note that we have quite a few questions that have come in during the presentation. And so I do want to reiterate, for those who are not able to stay on, if we go a little past 12, that is okay. The recording will be available. But just know that we are going to try to address many of these questions. Okay, so the first question is about institutional sponsorships. The question is the option for institutional sponsorships at $1,000 still available?
We will have a conversation with you. So yes, reach out. We would love to understand what it is you want to do in terms of partnership. So yes, reach out.
Thank
And
you.
I would say, Diana, info@sacac.org will probably be the quickest response on that.
Perfect. The next question is about communication. So there is a peer of ours. Their question is, what advice do you have for those who are not receiving SACAC conference emails but are registered for the conference?
Oh, I would reach out to info@sacac.org to make sure that we have the right email address on file. That has happened in the past where we might be whitelisted for some folks, but I would certainly reach out to Diana, because if you haven't received anything in the last month or two, then yeah, there might be an issue with a firewall, or we just might have the wrong email address on file.
And I will also send an email to that person as well as
Great.
a follow-up. The next question is about pre-conference sessions. So for those attending the pre-conference sessions, will there be a place for them to put their belongings while they are attending the sessions, or will they be permitted to check into their hotel room before 1 p.m.?
I think it's definitely worth asking the front desk if your room is available. They will also probably offer to take your bags. I don't want to assume that we have enough space for you to bring your bags with you to your pre-conference session. I think with a few people, that's okay. But as Cory mentioned, some of these session spaces, we're going to be maxing out that space as best we can, since there's so many people coming. I would check in with the hotel first to see if they can accommodate the early request. If not, then they'll probably check your bag with the front desk.
The next is a very specific question about Emory University and the campus tour, but the question is, for those attending that campus tour, do they meet at the hotel, or is there a place where they can find more information about preparing for that campus tour?
Yes. I'm just trying to think about what the best, so I can, if you can get me that person's name and email address, I can send them their point of contact for the Emory College tour. That's probably the best thing to say at this point.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So the next question is about SACAC merchandise. Will there be any SACAC t-shirts available for purchase?
No, but I feel like that's a side hustle that I should get into right about now. Cory, what about you?
At this point, we do not have any merchandise for sale at the conference, but there have been some conversations swirling. I don't know if what will come of it, but being that next year is an anniversary conference, being the 60th anniversary, there's a chance we may offer something like that then. But right now, there are no merchandise opportunities for purchase at the conference. while I'm unmuted though, I just saw Sarbeth actually put in the chat regarding the Emory question earlier. So
Perfect.
Emory will have a shuttle picking up from the hotel that morning.
The homie Sarbeth. Thank you, Sarbeth. Always doing good.
Thank you. The next question is a question about the Counselor Participation Fund. So this person has received the Counselor Participation Fund scholarship that includes transportation, parking, and they would like to know how they should navigate the parking with Valley Parking at the Marquee. Will they receive a ticket or a pass?
I would reach out to the co-chairs. You would have received an email from them. They would have been the point of contact for folks receiving those funds. I would put everything in one place. Reach back out to those folks to see what that accommodation will look like.
And then we have a few questions. They are along the same topic of session registration. So one question is about registering for yoga and the run or walk. The other question was about registering for the campus tours. So if you can share any insight about registration for the specific events or sessions shared.
So I would say at this point, registration for those things are closed because we have made plans based on what we knew. There may be some institutions on here who have spaces available, but for the most part, in terms of SACAC coordinating that for y'all, I'm just going to share the message that it's closed. I mean, we've got to move on to a few other details. And yoga is like at 80 people right now. The fun run is something that folks can just show up at the hotel lobby and do. So that's the one thing that I would say, like, if that's something, the fun run walk, if that's something that you're still interested in doing, that you can absolutely just show up at the front of the hotel, the lobby. And we'll be standing out there. I won't be running, but I'll be meeting y'all. We will be out there in that space before folks head off. And if you have registered, then you'll be receiving a reminder confirmation email that states that. But that's the one that I would say you could still show up to. You don't need to register. But for yoga, we're pretty much at capacity. I know the college tours, some of them were already at capacity, some of them weren't, but I don't know that we want to navigate that right now, not in this late hour.
And then there are 3 final questions for us to address. 2 are pretty much the same, exhibitor participation. So we have a few questions from exhibitors asking if there's any specific information that they need to be aware of. And then questions about setting up tables for exhibitors. When can they set up and when can they break down?
So setup for exhibitors will take place Sunday. I was looking at that actually before, Sunday at 8:30. And sometimes we allow folks to kind of jump in a little bit early. It just really depends on if the hotel has that space set up and ready to go. And so if you get here on Saturday, if you want to check in with Diana or myself or Cory, we could have an update on whether or not you could do it a little bit earlier, but 8:30 is what we're planning for, and that's what the hotel's planning for on Sunday morning. In terms of, gosh, the other question I just already forgot. What did you ask?
Yes, so set up on Sunday morning and then break down Monday, and then a general question about any additional information that exhibitors would need to know.
The additional information. So if you are not the person who registered as an exhibitor, if there's someone in your office that takes care of that for you, please check in with that person because that's who Diana is sending all of the information to. So if that person was not you, check in with that person in your office. If it was you and you're not receiving emails, then please reach out to Diana at info@sacac.org. But I know sometimes with exhibitors, you're not the person that registers for this experience, and that information is going to the person who registered and who put as the contact information.
Thank you. And then the second to last question is regarding the college networking fair. So for those who will be attending the fair, the college admission counselors or representatives, are they permitted to bring bags for counselors at the college fair? And for those who are not staying in the hotel, are they able to unload prior to the fair?
Cory, you wanna tackle that one? This is all in your arena.
So in terms of bringing bags for the counselors, we a few years ago, well, again, I say a few years ago, but I forget that I've been doing this for a little bit. Um, there used to be a true long college fair during this particular time, and as someone on the university side, I got to where it was kind of a hassle to know that I was traveling with all of the conference clothes and bags, and then bringing the university travel bag as well. And so we made a decision to kind of make this as light as possible. And so the idea is that it's truly just a networking opportunity with school counselors. And so we actually encouraged schools and universities to start bringing just a basic tablecloth, business cards, maybe a one pager, something light. And again, this was really to help you in terms of so you don't have to haul a bunch of stuff there to the conference. And for the school counselors to know that what they packed and they're walking away with, now they're not having a bunch of stuff in their luggage to then travel back home with. So I would say if you want to bring a bag, I don't think anybody's going to be screening you at the door saying, don't bring this in here. But it's sort of unnecessary for this particular event.
And if
And what
you
was the,
are,
go ahead.
I was going to say, if you are an institution that has registered for a table, Bonnie Tolliver is the person that you guys are working with and who's communicating with you. So if you have any questions, you can shift those her direction. But to Cory's point, you know, slim and trim, because they're high boys, they're cocktail high boys. They're not actual college fair tables. So you're just getting a little space in front of you for your what are these things called? Your business
Business cards?
card.
What, there was one more question that I felt like you asked.
Yes, so the question was about bringing bags and then being able to unload those materials prior to the fair.
I think
Yeah,
we set that as a 3:30 time slot. Let me just double check. Setup for the networking college fair will start at 3:30, and it overlaps with the dessert break that we were referencing earlier. And so trying to make sure that we have desserts for the reps down in that space, so that you don't have to rush to go get a dessert and then rush down to set up your table. And truly setup is, we're using that word loosely because we do want you to travel light. But yes, 3:30 to 4:30 is what we have set up for folks who are participating in the networking college fair.
And then the last question I have is related to the first timer experience. So there are two questions and I'll combine them into one. For those who are attending for the first time but did not initially request the conference host, is there a way to do so? And then any information about the first timers gathering, more so how they can learn more about the first timers gathering.
Yes. So I hesitate only because I don't want to make a call for our member relations committee folks who have been communicating with about conference hosts and signups. I'm hesitant to say, yes, you can still get a conference host. I think that's true. I would say email me, annual conference at sacac.org or anita.hua@loveit.org. Because I'm unsure if there were things that were happening beforehand with that registration. I'm very unsure. And then the other piece about more information, I mean, just show up. Just show up. There is no need to know what the agenda is in that space. Our member relations folks run that beautiful session. And so just show up and be yourself. I would certainly say if you have time to grab food before that happens, because again, it's a little bit of a sprint after that session. Cory, would you add anything else to the first timer? Okay.
Awesome. So with that in mind, this brings us to the end of the questions, both preliminary questions and questions received through today's virtual event. Anita, Cory, any final thoughts you would like to share as we prepare to gather in less than 6 days.
You keep on
No,
you keep on reminding me. I'm like,
it's
oh,
here. It's
oh.
here.
We are so excited to welcome y'all to Atlanta. I will tell you, please be patient with our conference team. We are navigating a lot of details right now. We want to get to your emails. We will make time for those because we know it's game time, but just a little bit of patience as we navigate all of the things with the hotel as well as with registration. We welcome you to reach out because we don't want you to not ask questions. Just give us a little bit of time and we'll circle back. But thank y'all. I mean, thank you in advance because I think this is going to be a real good time. And I want to say thank you to Cory, to Diana, to Arlene, because again, the labor of love, but it's also been a really good time planning with them selfishly. So this is a sweet little group that I've just really enjoyed. So thank y'all. Thank y'all.
Thank you, everyone. And thank you again for joining us for today's webinar. And again, a special thank you to Anita and Cory for leading today's session. We definitely look forward to gathering together here in Atlanta for the SACAC Annual Conference. From here, please be on the lookout for SACAC announcements about the conference and for announcements about upcoming webinars. Have a great day and enjoy the rest of your week.
Thank you, by the way, for creating space for us. She done turned her screen off, but I'm like,
No
thank you.
problem.
Thank you. And you did it in advance. So thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Absolutely. Absolutely. Have a good one, everyone. We will see you soon.